Do you ever let fear rule your life? If you're someone who wants to speak out, then you need to have several reasons to do so. One of them is about whether you allow fear to take over. Other things are about whether you're willing to work for it. Another reason could be how you look at injustice, because speaking out often has to do with whether you feel right or wronged, or if you feel like someone else has been treated right or wrongly. And last but not least, you can speak out even though you're not the expert. So today, one of our Dutch people died. He was quite an inspiration. He was a lot on TV ever since I was growing up. He was a criminal reporter and his name is Peter de Vries. Well, Peter was shot last week, unfortunately, and he knew he was running that risk. And he said, I want to help people solve cases. So when there were cold cases, for instance, he would, and people would reach out to him. He would help the parents, help solve the crime of their children or other people. And he actually was pretty good at it. But he didn't just solve the crimes. He would be a friend to them too, you know, and support them. And he was tenacious. He would hold on. So there were a few sayings and other stuff which were spoken about. So one of the things he said is, on bended knee is no way to be free, which is, by the way, in a song called Guaranteed from Eddie Vedder. And what he wanted to say is, I bend for no one. And it was related to a saying from a general, Emiliano Zapata. Not sure if I say it correct. He was a general during the Mexican Revolution, and he said, rather dying standing up straight than living on my knees. Which of course has to do with, are you willing to go for it all and speak your mind? So one of the things people are saying about Peter is that if everyone would go that direction, he would go the other way. And the result of that was that he would move the needle and he would get things done, which is pretty cool. So he had this adage, this saying is, he who fears he shall suffer already suffers what he fears, which is something that Michel de Montaigne said, which is a French philosopher. And I do believe that's very true. And I've seen it all around me. And I actually coached a lot of people on this item. You know, fear for surgery, fear for being bullied, fear for consequences if you speak out. And I often said to people, you know, you can start living your life in fear, worrying about what's not there yet, and that'll cost you a lot of energy. Or you'll say, well, we'll see what happens, and in the meanwhile, I'll do what I can. You know, that's a very big difference. As for speaking out and fear, question is this because of something that you have experienced, you know, when you were younger, when you were growing up? Is it something that you've seen and read in the papers? Is it something that actually happened to you? And maybe you are much stronger than you think you are. As for being the expert, he also had this saying, you need to keep challenging yourself. You can become better. And meanwhile, you are at your best, which was meant for those out there who said, okay, you know, I can talk about this or some subject, but who am I to do it? But, you know, he was right, you know, just keep reading, keep doing. And, you know, the difference is that there may be experts, but they may not talk about it at all. And you might be the one who goes and sees everything from every angle, does the research. And yes, you still may not be the one, but you are the one getting out there. So, you know, and linked to that, he would say, without battle, no victory, as in when things go really easy, we don't tend to celebrate them. You know, it always feels a little bit better after a huge struggle that we can say, yes, we did it. And we tend to forget that once we get to see that battle ahead of us. And we are inclined to say, oh my God, a battle or another battle, please no, you know. Whereas the victory can be so sweet and so rewarding if you dare to go that way. So what else can I say about Peter? He was honest and he was fighting injustice. And combined to that, he didn't give up until the truth came out. So he was working on these cold cases and he said, if I go on TV regularly enough and I shed light on it, someone out there will know what has happened. And at some point, he or she will start talking. And that's how those crimes actually got solved at some point or another. Well, like I said, he unfortunately died. He was shot in the head like 5 times last week. The sad thing is that actually a young kid got paid money for it, just to do it. I guess all of us hoped that he would recover. And I actually do not understand how he managed to survive over a week. But he did. And, well, the good thing is that had he woken up, we don't know how he would have woken up. If he had been able to lead a life, if he would have had his memories, you know, if you don't know which part of the brain has been taken out because of one or multiple shots. I do know, however, that lots of us got to talk about it. And, well, he was actually known abroad as well, so just not only in the Netherlands. I believe he even won an Emmy Award, which he picked up in New York. Not sure what it was for, but he did, so that's cool. And what I also like is that we got acquainted with the funny side of him. So, for instance, he was dressed up like this drag queen, and he was always in for some fun. And I guess what I want to say is, well, when we talk about heroes, I do believe he died a hero. If only for all the parents he helped, you know, getting answers, getting answers to where their boys or girls were buried and what had happened to them. And also, he was a good role model, as in, don't give up. If you see something and you want to speak out, don't be afraid to not do it. Just look at the consequences and ask yourself, are they real? And are you willing to not act because you might be afraid of those consequences? And you know, even though those consequences won't happen, fear might eventually kill you. I've seen it. I've seen people who suffered from fear, who didn't go out anymore, who didn't say anything to anyone. And that gets to you. That really gets to you. Whereas if you walk around with your head held up high and you just want to leave a legacy, which might be just that the people who know you love them actually do. And what he wanted to be known is that his children would think he had been this amazing father. Not known for anything else, just for being a good dad, which speaks volumes as well. So, if you want to speak out, but you don't dare to, or you think it's no use, they're not going to listen to me anyway, then think about these things. Think about him. And, you know, I'm not going to say that you need to be the one who is a criminal investigator or a criminal reporter. It doesn't have to be that dramatic. And since it doesn't have to be that dramatic, just see if those things in your life are really that hard to solve, are really that impossible to do something about, and what the consequences would be if you would say something about it. Well, let me know your 2 cents, and if you need some coaching on this topic, you know where to find me.